Hey everyone, it's Rye bringing you Beginner Guide number 20. This is going to be the finale for the Learning Lekmod series. And what better way to close it out than a common beginner mistakes video? I was saving this one for the very end. I didn't want to overwhelm people with all the different mistakes they're making until I've kind of explained every single one in a video beforehand. So this should all be like a refresher from the previous videos that you've watched, but thought that this list would be helpful. Um, yeah, and let's kind of just jump right in. So, common beginner mistakes. These aren't the mistakes, but this is what you should be doing, right? So, definitely the first one, buy your iron tile. This is one of the reasons we go mining in the first place. Pairing this with number 2, which is always be on production focus, we're able to overflow into our iron tiles very consistently, right? That's if we're not on production focus, we're probably going to grow into a 1 food tile or 1 hammer tile. If we're on production focus and we don't have an iron, that's a 2 hammer. But with production focus and an iron tile, that's 3. On Russia, it's 4, right? So it goes on and on. But in general, buy your iron tile. I see so many people make this mistake where they don't buy it. Number 2, production focus. We've talked about this extensively in our city micro guide, so definitely check that out if you haven't seen that yet. Number 3, lock your tiles. This is such an important thing, especially for newer players. They don't check their cities every time they grow, so the tiles aren't locked. Then they're like, why am I not growing? And then they look in their city and they're like, oh shit, I just haven't been working the right tiles. You won't have that problem if you lock them. Number 4, this is an extension of number 3, but do this for the whole game. A lot of people will be very, very good about doing it, and then, the game will start scaling later and later, and they will just completely forget. And then, it's a lot of work to do it on Liberty, and, especially if you kill someone and you're warring, right? But this micro does go a long way. This is how you grow a lot faster. This is how you get the right hammers, right? So all of these things kind of, the reason why this guide is in the order it's in is because everything builds on each other, right? The reason I saved the coastal guide for last is because that's kind of its own separate little world, but everything led up to each other. So it's all about understanding the fundamentals. That's why a lot of the best players truly understand these concepts better than anyone. This is a very big thing for new players, especially. I remember when I was brand new, and I used to do this all the time. Never automate anything. Just think about how bad the AI is in Civ. Okay. By automating stuff, you're pretty much saying, hey, AI, take control, right? Do not automate anything. I mean scouts, especially, right? If you automate a scout and that scout clears a bar camp from an honor player, they're going to kill you. Workers, workers probably the most important. I've seen people automate workers and it blows my mind. The worker micro that the AI does is absolutely terrible, right? So never automate anything. Stay happy, improve your lux, right? Even these terrible desert incense luxuries, you have to improve them because that's how you stay happy, right? We want to improve our regional, we want to trade it away, we want to, get as much happiness as possible so that when we grow, we can remain happy. Right? So many new players are like, oh, it's fine if I go unhappy here. No, it's not. You want to stay happy as much as possible. Settle close cities, right? We're prioritizing the early game. I talk extensively about this in all of my different videos where I talk about the sim part of the game specifically. Settle your cities closer than further, right? In general. If you have 2 spots, one's closer, one's further away, but all else equal, I'm settling the closer spot. It helps with tempo. It helps get the city out faster. It helps the city grow because it's able to work improved tiles. Settle close cities, especially on Liberty. I saw a couple people DM me with some of their sim games. You're all settling too far away. Just settle close cities. Min distance is so good. I love I am the biggest min distance settler in the fucking group. This is a general one, but stick to Liberty and Tradition. They're much simpler trees. They kind of hold your hand through a lot of the difficulty, which I think is very important when you're learning, because the game is very, very difficult as it is. So why don't you simplify some of the basics? Just stick to Liberty and Shred. Oh my God, this is such a big one, especially for, it's not just new players. It's like experienced players that are just weaker. Do not build walls. Guys, building walls is the biggest waste of your time. All you're doing is telling someone who's good at the game, hey, I built walls for no reason. I'm a noob. Come kill me. That's what you're saying. It slows your game down. It makes it shit. Unless you have a unique wall, right? And there's only 3 civs. It's like, or I think there's a couple, but it's Hungary, it's Gaul, and it's Hittites. Unless you have a unique wall, do not build walls. Guys, like, just don't build them. Unless you're in war and your city is getting shot, do not build the wall. 2 scouts. I'm just going to leave it at that. 2 scouts, guys. Consistency is everything. 2 scouts. Settle at least 3 cities. I see a lot of people being like, I don't have the space. You have the space. You have the space. Settle 3 cities minimum. Obviously, for tradition, it's 4. For Liberty, it's like around 7. We need at least 3. For whatever you're doing. We're going to talk on this later, but at least 3. Guys, water mills are good buildings. I see so many people just not build them because they think the gold maintenance is a big deal. It's not a big deal. You know what's a big deal? Having really low pop cities. Water mills help fix that. Aqueducts are probably the best building in the entire game. If you're Liberty, this is your priority. You're going engineering for aqueducts. Okay? Build them. They are so incredibly powerful. A piety game should be going for aqueducts before theology most of the time. Okay? Like, just think about that. Okay? Hammers over science. This is a general concept that we've been talking about extensively as well throughout the series, but it's more important to improve your sim than it is to get the science. We're always going workshops first. We're always going factories first. Workshops into universities, factories into schools, never the other way around. Okay? Unless you really know what you're doing, or you've kind of broken out of the, beginner shell, never deviate from these tech paths. It's always workshops first. It's always schools first. Early libraries are bait, right? You saw my tradition guide where I have NC Rush. I'm only building early libraries in 1 city. And it's because the NC is coming up right after that's done. Unless you're building NC immediately, don't build these buildings. They're pretty mediocre. Like, it's more important to get the pop than it is to, like, so if you had to choose a library or a watermill, you should pretty much always be picking watermill, right? Because it's more important to get the demos, to get the pop, to get the food, etc. Your regional is not your land. Like, here's an exaggerated picture, but for the most part, this is true. Your regional is not your land, guys. Your land is your land. I talk on this a lot, especially when new players will message me on Discord, which you're all welcome to do, or leave a comment on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. But I settled here because my regional's here. That doesn't matter. If it's in their face and it's clearly their land, don't settle it. All you're doing is creating a reason for them to kill you. Caravans, good. Build them. Build your caravans. A caravan is better than a watermill. So if you don't have all your caravans up and you're building a watermill, change it. Sailing equals more caravans, right? You'll see a lot of good players go, after they get their luxury techs up, they'll tech sailing right away. Why? Why do they need sailing if they're inland? Oh yeah, it's because it gives you an extra trade route. So these extra trade route techs are really, really good. And a lot of times they're worth going to, like, especially if you're a civ that wants to be trading stuff. If you're like patronage or something, you can make a deviation to compass after universities or after leaning because you want the trade route. That's totally fair. Internals, good. Externals, bad. This is a general rule of thumb. I think there are some exceptions for sure, but generally speaking, only send internals. Never send externals. The only case you can make is if it's after industrialization or there's like a CS quest for there's a CS quest for a maritime city. Freshwater is often bait. Let's think about what we look for in the cities. We look for strong first rings. We look for chops. We don't care about the fresh water, guys. This river is completely irrelevant. We only care about, we should care about like the position of the city, where it's going to grow to, you know, how good the first ring is, how many chops there are. Way more, we should value that way more highly than the thought of potentially building a garden or a watermill. Okay, this is a very important concept, and a lot of new players need to hear this. Wonders keep you ahead. They don't catch you up. Building wonders will not save your game. It will only improve an already good game. Building infrastructure will save your game. The amount of times people throw because they don't build infrastructure and they just spam wonders is insane. Just build the infrastructure. It's much better. If you had a choice between an amphitheater and a statue of Zeus, a lot of the times I'm taking the fucking amphitheater. Talk to people about contested borders. Guys, we have a chat in this game. Use it. If you know there's going to be a contested border, talk to them. Otherwise, you're just going to war each other and the game's going to end. Take embassies and open borders. Guys, this is something so core. Like, it kind of goes in line with the chatting thing. The way this game works is people have to understand what their land looks like and what your land looks like. Just accept the embassy. Just accept the open borders. You should try to get a good idea of where you can settle, which is fair. This concept of fair is something that you kind of have to learn after playing for a while. But, yeah. Improve your luxuries. This is, I already had this point in earlier points, right? Like, we had this point. Stay happy and improve your luxuries. Number 6. Okay. Well, we're back at number 22. Trade them all out. Trade all of your fucking luxuries, right? If you have a regional, it's there to be traded. You know, the other luxes are not that important. You should save them for King's Days, for King's Day trades. But your regional needs to be traded. If you don't trade it, someone else will. All right. Never, never, never go OCC in general. It is never correct. Or never build wonders before settlers. Also, never correct. There's only one strategy where you do this, and it's a bad strategy. I can't stress this enough. A lot of new players will build great library right when they enter the game. They'll think they're in a great spot, and then they'll just go irrelevant. It is so infuriating when you see someone who's brand new just queuing Stonehenge on turn 10. And you know, okay, well, this person's irrelevant. Like, you already know. That is the first impression that person gets. Is they rush a wonder and they're already here. Don't be that guy. Build your fucking settlers. Come on. And if you know me, you know my value in this game and how I kind of, what I attribute to what I did to get really good was I learned proper worker management and worker micro. Please, please, please build workers. There is not, if you think you have enough, you could probably use some more. If you have too much, that's fine. You delete them. Later on, they already generated you enough value that it was worth building, right? Like a worker that improves 2 tiles paid for itself, right? So just, I have the picture of how many workers you need per city, but I can't stress this enough. Every new player, it's very likely they don't have enough workers by when they need them. They need them now. They don't need them later. They don't need them after the watermill. They don't need them, after this wonder. No, they need them now. Okay, and that's it. This is going to be a quick video. I'm just going to run through these really quick. Again, buy your iron tile. Production focus is key. Lock your tiles for the whole game. Don't automate anything, please God. Like this is something that's like, most people don't do this, but I've seen some people do it, and it fucking makes me scream. Stay happy, improve your luxes, settle close cities. Remember, we only care about the early game. Stick to liberty and tradition. Stop building walls. 2 scouts always. Settle at least 3 cities. Watermills are good. Build them. Aqueducts are amazing. Build them. Hammers over science. Early libraries are generally bait. Usually the payoff is around 6 or 8 pop. So unless you're around 8 pop, I wouldn't even think about building it unless you're rushing NC. Your regional does not equal your land. Don't buy someone's cap tiles unless you want to die. Caravans are really good. Sailing is a good tech. Caravans are good because internals exist. Okay, externals are not that important. Internals are. Internals are why we really care about settling 3 cities, because with only 2, we can only send 2 internals. But with 3, we can settle 6. Freshwater is often bait, right? Like, we don't care about freshwater that much, guys. Yes, it's nice. Of course, if you have the choice between these 2 cities are exactly the same, but one's on freshwater, settle on freshwater for sure, of course. But in general, it's often bait. Wonders keep you ahead, not catch you up. Talk to people about contested borders. In general, you can just talk to people. People in this group are generally friendly if you're friendly to them. So, you know, talk to them. Don't be afraid to message people. Take embassies and open borders. A lot of people like have this chip on their shoulder when they enter their first NQ game. There's no reason for that. Just, you know, you want to see the map too. Improve and trade out your luxes, or someone else will for you. Never go OCC or build wonders before settlers. And then keep making sure you have enough workers. This is something that even the best players struggle with, but you can never have enough workers. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for sticking around for this series. I'm going to have a video on kind of my overall thoughts on the guides as a whole. Some, you know, I'll definitely be referencing this video in that video, but it's going to be more of a ramble style video. So this is formally the end of the beginner learning Lekmod series. But I hope this has been helpful. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope this encourages you to play a multiplayer game or try a multiplayer game out. I hope, you know, you use this to shit on your friends when you're playing with them. But I hope this series has been nice. I hope it's been helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm always here to answer them. But anyway, thanks, guys, and stay tuned for the next one.